Hey guys, what's going on? So we have only got 4 days left until Lance and I from ThetaTraders.com go live for our small account challenge, the very first one that we've launched at ThetaTraders.com. And it's on the 25th of March at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to be live, so you guys can chat to us about it. We can talk about it in the question and answers box here. I'll leave a link to this particular page here, so you can go and hit the notify me button, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notifications so that you don't miss this when we go live. It's a little bit later on, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so there will be some replays, but the advantage of coming to the webinar is you'll have a chance to win a subscription to this new small account challenge service that we're running. It'll continue to run. It's not really going to be like a one-off or anything. It'll be a continual 5k to 10k and then reset and keep doing that. And so we'll talk about why that is in a minute as well. So I'll also leave a link to the Theta Traders live webinar free subscription. So if you want to enter that, you just have to go to the description, click on the link. It'll be called Enterprise Draw or something like that. Put in your details and then attend the webinar. So you want to do both. You want to register for the prize draw, but also attend the webinar, because we'll be announcing the winner of the prize draw for the free subscription at the end of the webinar, or close to the end of the webinar. So definitely worth doing. Now, I'm not a huge fan of small account challenges in general, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that in today's video. So here's what typically happens when you join a Discord or some other guru's small account challenges. They'll hype it up. You know what I'm talking about. There's plenty of them out there that will start a small account challenge because they know that people want to take small amounts of money and turn them into big amounts of money. So they'll say things like, we're going to take a $2,000 account and we're going to turn it into $50,000. We're going to do it as fast as possible, maybe a few weeks or months, and then you guys will all be much better off and be able to use that money elsewhere. And over the last 10 years of my trading, I haven't seen it happen. And that's close to happening at the moment, but it hasn't quite happened yet with Jason Bond's service. He is the only one so far that I've seen take 2,000 to 35,000. The problem is he hasn't actually banked that money yet. He's still trading it as far as I know. If he banks that and starts a new challenge and stops that one, takes the profits, it'll be the first significant small account challenge that I've ever seen. So I've been a member of so many Discords, so many of these sites. They all say the same thing. They all say, start with 2,000 usually, and we're going to grow the account. And here's what always happens. Not necessarily on this time frame, I've just put number of trades, but this could be days or weeks or whatever. And you'll start to grow, and you'll get like the guru will start boasting, and like, wow, yeah, we're 500, we're up another 300. This is account size growth, so 2,000 here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. And it'll get to a peak up here. And then something will happen. So there's many things that can happen. The first one is the market can take a downturn. And the strategy that was working with buying options, so they're buying puts or buying calls, so maybe they're buying calls as the market rallied. Then the market will turn over for a while, and they'll continue the same strategy that we're using, whatever that might be. And they'll start to lose money, and they'll start to lose money. And it'll go all the way back down, and before you know it, you're either back to where you were, or below, or worse, below where you were, with no money left. You guys know what I'm talking about. You'll have done it in Discords, probably. And then they'll make some excuse like, oh, okay, guys, market went bad, time to reset. Let's start again. And then they'll start marketing another small account challenge. Let's start with 2K. Let's do this. This time it'll work. And this process will repeat itself, and repeat itself, and repeat itself, until you've lost $2,000 multiple times. And that's really frustrating. Now, 2,000 is just an arbitrary number. Sometimes it's 500. So if you start with 500, it's a little bit less bothersome, right? So even if you do end up losing it all, the risk reward is still good. So starting with 500, but starting with 500 even with options is hard to grow, but it's a better idea in my opinion. So you guys all know this story. So here are some of the reasons that the small account challenges fail in my opinion. First is greed. So everybody wants to turn 2k into 100k in 6 weeks or 6 months or 3 months, something like that. And the guru overpromises this deliberately to get people into the challenge, to get those subscription fees going, knowing fine well that maybe they're arrogant, like I say here. Maybe arrogance comes into it, that they do really think they can do that, even though they probably have never done it before, or they did it once. And technically, I think the two things I've seen really be the biggest problem is, well, there's three. First of all, the overpromise, right? The next one is lack of stop losses, so that they don't have a real trading plan. They just kind of like wing it. So when the things start to go against them, they don't take a quick loss. They just let it go to zero. And that takes a lot to get that back, right? So if you lose 100% of a position, you need to make a lot on a winner, to get that back. You need to do several winners. And that can be difficult even with a high probability strategy. And they get arrogant. So the arrogance comes into the overpromising. It comes into the stop loss problem. And it just becomes like, they just, well, even guilt, like guilt could come into it. Maybe they feel bad as soon as you start tanking here. And so they don't stop. They just keep going, and they don't adapt their strategy, or they don't even have a strategy that works, that is mechanical and robotic, so it doesn't work in all markets. And maybe, that it's all sort of one big loop. If you've ever been part of one that actually works consistently, let me know in the comments, because I'll be really curious to know if that's something that's even like possible, because I still haven't come across one. One of the main problems they have is most do buying options, because it's very difficult to grow an account quickly if you're selling options for many reasons, and we're going to talk about how you get around that in the webinar that we're doing on the 25th, just on Monday in 4 days from now. So they often buy options, and buying options can be extremely volatile. You're trying to beat theta as the time decay of the options, and it can be very hard to deal with options. That's why they do them, because sometimes you can get this big fast growth, but the opposite is true, right? You can get big sell-offs as well, and so they usually use options. Don't think I see anybody doing stocks, really, like using the stocks to do small account challenges. But there is a better way. You can do it by selling options. And so by selling options, you can get a higher probability. The difficulty becomes in managing it so that you don't grow too slowly, but you also don't take on too much risk. And that's where we're really going to focus in this webinar. Is we're looking to grow an account from 5k to 10k, but we're not going to say we're going to do it in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We don't know what the time frame is going to be, because we're going to adjust the risk reward and talk about that in the webinar quite a bit, so that you guys can actually learn the strategy and take on your own risk reward, so you can actually just basically tune the strategy to fit you. And so if you want to move faster but take on a bit more risk, then that's up to you. If you want to go slowly but actually make it to the 10k. So we're starting with a bit more, because the strategy requires more than $500. You can't really do it with that. You need a few thousand, so we thought 5,000 would be a good starting point. So if you have $5,000 and you want to try and turn it into 10,000, this is going to be the way to do it, in my opinion. So with Theta Traders, I've known Lance for a few years now. All of his strategies, all of his components inside the ThetaTraders.com website have worked. Like, they all grow consistently. The problem that a lot of people have is they complain that maybe it's a little bit too slow, which is a good complaint to have, because who cares? You're still making money. It might take you a bit longer. But with this small account challenge, we're going to adapt a little bit and try and make it a bit more aggressive than normally what's offered inside Theta Traders. So maybe you've been part of Theta Traders before and you liked it, but you weren't very happy with the small but consistent steady gains. All these different ones on here, by the way, check it out. If you have any questions, you can always email me at stockalertsreviewed@protonmail.com, or look at some of the results from last year, or email Lance, who's doing all these trades here. And so this is going to be a new part of the Discord, and so lifetime members are going to get access to it. Like, all lifetime members get access to everything. We never charge like extra for lifetime members, but the service itself will be an addition, and it's going to be similar to some of the other styles, but it's going to be, like I said, more aggressive to fit the small account challenge, where you try and grow something more rapidly from 5k to 10k. And we're not going to fall into a lot of the mistakes that people make, where they'll just keep going and then lose it all. We're going to be very robotic and mechanical on this, so that it's just a very consistent income for people just a little bit more rapid. And these are going to be using very high probability trades with very tight stop losses as well. So I think you'll be quite surprised at what we're going to offer on this. And make sure you attend the webinar. Make sure you click the link in the description below and see if you can win a free subscription. That's always good. And just put in your details. You'll get sent a little bit more information about this as well. So hopefully that's helpful. I really do hope that we can show you that it's possible to do small account challenges using small amounts of money and grow them, double them fairly quickly, using the right strategies with the right group. And I'm 100% sure that Lance is the place to be under Lance's guidance. So hopefully you guys join us for the webinar, and I'll talk to you soon.